You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marnie Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Chris Gillis. Dating apps, self-worth, and communication tips. How power dynamics shape relationships. Ladies, that was me, guys, letting Chris drive.
It was last minute. I kind of just started.
No, it was so good. I love it. You're such a provider protector. You just jumped in. What am I? I'm a transformational life design coach, author, and podcast host. Whoop, whoop.
Wow. That is amazing. And
what are we talking about today?
Today we are, and I'm consulting Chris. I am your men's relationship and dating guru here today.
Don't you want me to read your bio for you?
Sure, read my bio. For the
Come on, guys. In case you don't know, Chris is a professional dating coach based in LA, and he offers expert guidance in tackling the complexities of modern dating. He helps people master the nuance of app-based dating. He empowers clients to recover from breakups and divorces, and he helps them foster self-confidence and self-love. He helps people embrace their unique qualities and showcase them and create the inner game needed to attract their ideal partners. So yeah, that's who's here today helping you.
I like that. Does that sound like something the world needs?
Yeah, it really does. It's funny. I was watching that silly show Love is Blind the other night. And there is a character on there and her name is Hannah. And she is literally, if you were going to do like the prototype of a woman who is critical and demeaning to her man, it would be her. And I think that there are a lot of women. And what's really interesting to me is, Chris, that her boyfriend, and they ended up, spoiler alert, they break up. But when he goes into the relationship, he's like, I want a woman who is going to help me grow and help me be a better man. And I just wonder, do men actually think, is that like a state of mind going in, like my right partner is going to help me grow and be a better version of myself? Because I'm not sure if he really expected it in the way that she delivered that help, But I thought it was an interesting question because I'm like, I know guys say that. They say behind every great man is a great woman. But is that something a guy really is looking for?
I love that. So if you're just listening, we're going to talk. We're going back to a little bit of reality TV because we just got to, it sounds like. And by the way, Marnie, speaking of TV, you also plugged in last episode. You got me watching, what's that show with Kristen Bell? You got me
yeah, it was so cute. Nobody Wants This. Did you love it?
So let's chat about that. Guys, we're also going to talk about dating equality. How much of a fair playing field is it? Shocker, you can probably guess where that's going to go. Modern day polygamy, aka polygamy. And I want to chat also about concepts and your thoughts on settling versus building a relationship as well. So,
I love it.
How does that sound?
Sounds great. Sounds like a plan.
Amazing. So on this, is this good? Is this new Love is Blind? Is it something that you recommend the listeners check out? No. But you know
what? Jeremy wanted to watch this. I don't love it. It makes me anxious. But I will say that because the show's been around now, this is like the 7th season. What's interesting is that the premise, guys, is these people meet in a pod and they don't see each other and they fall in love without meeting each other in person. And then they have to like spend 3 weeks together and decide if they really want to get married. And the big, the big finale is always like they have the weddings and then they would go to the altar and they would actually say, I do or no. But now we're in season 7 and it's really interesting because the gig is up, right? Like nobody wants to be such a dick that they're going to go through the whole rigmarole of a wedding and their families come, their parents come, like their friends come and sit there and then be like, ramshackled, like in the moment. And so in this season, like a lot of them are just calling it. They're like, we're not going to get married. We're done. So I think there were 5 that went into the phase of like, let's see how it goes. I think there's 2 or 3 left. I mean, they're not playing the game anymore. They're like,
weird.
Yeah, we're not doing this. And it's interesting. One of the couples even talked about a phone call that they had when they decided that they weren't going to go down the aisle. And like, how do you want to handle this on camera?
Yeah.
Like, don't make me look like a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so the gig is kind of up. I don't really think it's worth any time to watch.
You sound like it's got part of your brain though. You may not love it, but seems like you kind of like.
No, I've never seen anyone, like I actually said to Jeremy, I was like, God, it's like, am I do I ever sound like that? Like that's horrible. Cause I think a lot of strong women, get in relationships and we don't realize that we're being bossy or critical, and especially if you've been together for a while, it just can become part of the dynamic. And I definitely, can lean that way. Right. And so I was sort of like, oh God, if I'm ever that horrible. And he's like, no, you're not. But it's very dramatic how bad this is. But I think that I think it just really landed because it's like, wow, it's someone who's like dating the potential of someone and is like, you're my project. So I think that's really the only reason why.
Got it. I love it. To answer your question, I think that I don't think we go into relationships hoping that a woman is going to fix us, make us better or whatnot. But I think that when we meet a great person, I think that because we care about them, we start taking by proxy of showing up for them, we start accidentally showing up for ourselves oftentimes. And then if it is a highly intelligent woman, which most gals are, at least more so than men, at least getting us to motivate, I think you guys also suss out the best of us for, selfish reasons, whatever type of reasons, because, you probably want a good version of us versus a happier version. So, I think it ends up being one of those things. And then I think a lot of times, when men everyone needs a reason to buy or to sell or to commit. And I think, the guys like, wow, well, look at me before, sitting at home in my empty living room with pizza boxes and a video game chair in the living room. And now, look at me now. I got West Elm crap all over knickknacks and stuff. And life is, I got, square meals. And I have, as you mentioned the bossiness or whatnot. And I think some guys, which I love about that show, and I'm thinking of some people I know in relationships, some guys do need a little bit of a bossiness or a woman who knows, is driving to get the guy going. Sometimes I know it can be exhausting all the time, right? But some gals, you're a badass. You just know how to get stuff done better than most humans and, better than most guys in general as well. So I think that's just a skill. We just pass that skill onto you.
Well, I always said this, and this was one of my non-negotiables, was that the guy that I want to be with wants to be a better person for themselves. So they have a value on learning and growing. Like that's to me, like was one of the top 5. And so, but I do realize that, and it's really interesting. I was teaching a workshop and I started this new group and it's like a year-long container. And so I created it to have like no homework, right? I was like, these ladies don't need to work on it. They're too busy. So we do these workshops and we do the actual work together on a Zoom call. And so while we did a whole workshop on avoidance and avoidant behaviors. And so while they were working on their piece, I was like, let me just do this exercise myself. And I realized that when I get defensive or snappy, I'm avoiding a feeling, like an uncomfortable feeling myself. Right. And so I really wanted to spend a couple months, which I've been doing, really focused in on that. And it's really interesting, right? When you think about like your reaction versus like creating a pause so you can be like, well, how am I really feeling? Right. And communicating that. And so then I had this list of avoidant behaviors that I share with my clients. And so I was like circling which are the ones that I was doing, And so last weekend I just sat down with Jeremy and I was like, I want to apologize. Like I've been like, avoiding connecting is, being on my phone. I've been critical. I've been a little demeaning. I've been, and he's like, wow, thank you. And I was like, and here's why, this is what I'm trying to cover up in myself. And so I think the thing about that character in the show is she's like, she blanket statements like, I'm critical of him because I'm really critical on myself. Okay, that's great. Right? We do to others what we do to ourselves. But the big thing that I think listeners can benefit is from like, okay, great, you're self-aware, that. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Right? What are you going to actually do? Because just saying to my husband, don't piss me off. I mean, yeah, that's great, right? But also like the one thing I can control is my reaction. So I just want to be intentional to work on it.
For the guys there, because a lot of the good guys that I date, that's my niche, is guys who want to date awesome women, not just, sleep with girls, but actually great women. And a lot of times these great women are very powerful, very assertive, kind of take control leaders in their own professional life. What, as a successful professional yourself and a leader on many levels, what works for you, or how do you recommend it to the guys out there who are, in relationships with gals and they are, kind of overtaking them where they feel like that? How can a guy, how would, present the, hey, hold on, I got this in a respectful manner to kind of ping, like you said, kind of ping you without having to watch a whole reality series to catch yourself that, okay, I can maybe trust him a little more.
So you're saying how does a guy stand up and say, I got this?
Yeah. What's the best way for a guy who's starting off in a relationship, or maybe currently in a relationship with a powerful kick-ass gal who also likes to, metaphorically drive the car.
Yeah.
But starts maybe, because just gets used to it, because starts taking over everything, I suppose. And to still give that guy his space, because I've noticed, tell me if you agree, that sometimes when we're capable of it, of doing everything. Sometimes it's nice just to have a partner, to split things up 50-50, because it can get a little bit resentful feeling after a while. Like that's my thing, is I'll be like, I'm still doing this. But just for example, literally like driving, which I like to drive. I'm pretty good at it, but I still, if I have to do it all the time and it's not appreciated, then I can kind of notice. Or if it's just like quirks, or why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? For example, driving, that I can get a little bit like, hold on. Not only am I doing the action, but I don't feel appreciated in the action.
Well, I think, number one, you have to verbally say like, I appreciate that you did this, right? And also like in a long-term relationship, I think it's great to have roles and responsibilities and expectations, so, right. Like this girl in the show was like, they had the conversation. So good for them. She was like, what about like things like taking out the trash or whatever? Like, I want a guy who's going to have initiative, because I know that if I ask you, you'll do it. Right. And so I think that's a great way to solve that problem, is like, okay, well, what is your job and what is my job? and like, how do you want to do that? But there are sometimes, like if Jeremy's job is to do the dishes and my job is to basically cook, if he's had a long day or he's got a lot going on, or I just like go take a shower, or whatever, I'll be like, let me do that. Or so he's working a job where he's leaves really early in the morning, comes home later in the afternoon. And so the other night I was like, oh, let me just, make his lunch for him, right? Like without being asked to do it, just like, here's the thing. So I think it's about like, how can I go out of my way to be kind to the other person? But one thing, one of our friends, Matt Boggs, told me the other day, we were just chatting and he said one of his clients said it. And he's like, I'm going to use that. So I was like, I'm going to use it too in my own life. But, and what this woman had said was like, just believe your man can.
Yeah.
And so Jeremy's like, now I'm like, he's like, oh, stop saying that. He'll be like, where's the blender?
Yeah.
Like we've lived here for 4 months. I'm like, believe your man can.
Is that what you tell him?
Yeah, I'm like, believe your man can. And then he's like, blender. And he's like, it's there. So, I think that there's a lot of things where it's just easier, like to just be like, can you help me do this? Or where is this? And that goes for women too.
Yeah.
Like, can you help me fix this thing on my computer? Maybe you could fix it, or maybe you could figure it out, but he's there and you're just like, So I think it's a lot of give and take, but appreciation is really important. But I believe expectations or resentments waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to communicate because people can't read each other's minds, obviously.
Right. And I think, especially early on in any relationship, especially if they're two awesome people, they're going to be, somebody's going to be better a little bit, and you want to divide it up and there's no reason that both people, looking for the blender at the same time or one fixing the computer and whatnot. So you want to divide and conquer. But I think you're absolutely right. As long as it's done with appreciation and not just, oh, my assistant.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. So I interviewed this woman on the show, Dr. Abby Metcalf, and she was talking about one of the big reasons why relationships have troubles is because we're competing with our spouse and or our partner, we don't even realize it. And so if you're keeping a score, like I've driven 10 times and you've only offered once, then you're competing, like who's driving the most. And so she was really talking about how do you reframe your relationship as a whole so that you're not keeping score. And that is, that means that intrinsically both partners need to be like, wow, how can I be supportive? How can I be generous? How can I ask for help when I want it or need it? Like, how can I monitor my own 50-50, right? And then if you're doing that and the other person is, then you're going to get the scorekeeping, you're going to rip up the little card and throw it away. Because, when they interview couples that have been married for 30, 40, whatever years, they're like, it's not 50-50. Because there's sometimes where it's just 80-20 and sometimes where it's 20-80, right? And so that generosity is of spirit and intention, I think, is important.
So would your man get you to continue to search for the blender if he was like, after you found it and he was praising you and popping champagne?
No, I just joke about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, because, I call him Jeff is his like nickname. Long story. We'll share that later. But so I'm like, good job, Jeff. You know what I mean? And we laugh but no.
You're really good at gassing your man up and or acknowledging gratitude for the little things. That's one of your superpowers, I think.
Oh, well, I just do appreciate it.
Yeah. And it's going to cost nothing, right? So it blows my mind how few people, how seldom people share it. They just keep it and they go, glad that was done. But just what an amazing ROI we get for taking 2 seconds to say, hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah, in all cases, not just with your partner, but at work and at the grocery store and the extra mile. Everyone wants to be appreciated.
Yeah. I think it requires a level of, it's not weakness, it's actually strength. But I think feel like, oh, well, they did it for me, but I could have done it myself eventually or whatnot. It kind of diminishes what the other person did, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Just say thank you.
say thank you. The Kristen Bell show. What's it called? Nobody Wants This.
Yeah.
So I chatted with some friends and they got a big argument and they're like, I hate that show. It's 40-year-old women. They're triggered by it. It's 40-year-old women acting like they're kids, and real women don't talk like that. This was from a married gal who seemed kind of upset and yeah, triggered by the fun, the playfulness, and the banter, especially on there. And I wanted to share that with you. I was like, I don't know. I think there was a little bit of maybe
I think
jealousy.
they do. I have friends here, that are 40 and single, and yeah, that's what we're talking about. I mean, it's, it's funny, like, I don't know. I think that a lot of people like it. Yeah. So I don't know.
I think the playfulness I think that's what kind of triggered her, because in her relationship, she lost that fun banter and that playfulness. And I think, well, I've said this before, I think you agree, is that we should always be dating our spouse, whether they've been married, with first date, second date, or, been with them for 50 years. And I see a lot of people, and, this particular person, they stopped dating years ago. And it's been a partnership, but not necessarily a mutually appreciative partnership as well. But that witty, funny banter, I think, kind of taking the fun out of the relationship, and the relationship still should be fun. Yeah,
no, for sure. I think you want to laugh more than you're stressed. It's so funny. I had someone else say, like, her partner gets mad because when he comes in, she doesn't get up and give him a hug. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was like, interesting. And then I was like, I want to be better about that. I mean, not like sometimes Jeremy comes home and I'm like, work, on a call or doing a work thing, right? But like when he comes home, like from something he's doing in the evening and I'm just sitting on the couch, I was like, I want to be that I want to get up and be like, hi, how was it? Right? Not just like, hey, wait for him to come join me. So I think that's like something you do at the beginning, right? You're like, can't wait for them to come home or to see, to come over or whatever. And so, and I told you last time I got my little surprise date, but we've had so many plans. We haven't been able to do the date yet. So it's good. Jeremy has the memory of a goldfish. So when the package came, he was like, what's this? And I was like, oh, it's supposed to be a surprise. Anyway, and then I hit it and I'm sure he's forgotten about it. So it'll still be a surprise.
I want to hear about that. Also, I thought you were playing with me for a second. I have been that guy I've started fights up with my partner because I'm like, I come home and I want to be greeted off of the couch, and I want to have, I want to be more have a higher engagement rate than the Instagram or whatever that, or Netflix or Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which, by the way, it's tough to compete against that. But I also, that means a lot. Did you say that was a female client wanting her?
No. Her man partner was like, I wish that when I came over, you got up and like.
Totally. No, I feel the same way.
That's so funny. I
thought I told you that.
Don't care, but I don't care about that stuff. But I want to be. But I don't want to be sitting on the couch and not care. Like if I walk in, I don't care. But like if Jeremy comes home, like I've really tried to be like, and it's so funny, Chris. Oh my God. I feel like such a dude because, I have a fantasy football team. And so I'm like super into football. And now it's not just I like one team. I kind of want to watch like a lot of games where my people play. Yeah. And the other day, Jeremy was like, I'm so over it because I'm like Thursday night, Monday night, Sunday. And so I was like, wow, he's being so supportive. And so Sunday I was like, I'm not watching football today. Like I can't make it a thing. But I was aware like he's been really supportive and like thinks it's funny and cute. And he's doing his own thing. He's happy to watch a movie on his own or do whatever. But like, I really realized that like, we're really good at having our own interests. Yeah. We're really good at it. You know what I mean? And so And now here, like I have so many more friends than I ever did before. And we have so many our life is way more social. We have more friends. And so it's like, oh, we need to like really do things like get up and say, hey, give up something that I really like or I would like to do because I want to spend time with him. And so it goes back to that, like dating your person, like really continuing to be intentional and make the effort, because we never had this problem of spending time together before because we always were just together all the time. And so now it's like, we're just doing so many things with other people.
I think it's important for the gals who are, listening to know that it's not that, and it's important for the guys to, and I learned myself how I frame the being greeted or not being greeted when I walk in the door. And ultimately it's a compliment. If your guy, I think, asks you that because he's letting you know that you've been on his mind and he wants to connect. He wants a hug. Yeah, he wants to come back home, and it's been a while. Yeah, he's come back from his journey, and in the middle, dragging a buffalo or or Chipotle, whatever it happens to be, in the house, and and it does feel, it just feels really good. And he's choosing to return home, right? Every day we forget that we have abundant freedom, and he's coming home to you, to his to his betrothed, and. Yeah, but I've noticed, I've said it, like you mentioned, being, passive aggressive with when you're not completely, and I've definitely done that before I got really clear on like, what the heck am I doing? What am I really asking for? What am I bidding for? What attention, what is it that I want? And then to present that in a way that, doesn't make my girl feel like she's being controlled or criticized because, she didn't do something or whatnot. It's just it's an important dance, but it's just, it does. There's so many different distractions, and I get that, especially, the professional gals, you guys are exhausted too, and your brain is kind of, you're in the opium den just swiping away on your phone. When we walk in and it's like, we walk in and we kind of interrupted and we're like, look at me.
I know exactly. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I will report back on how that's going, but yeah. It's good. Okay, we have to switch to our topics. We only have a little time left.
So,
we've just been chatting.
We have been chatting. We're just clucking away. So much to say. So, Miss Batista.
Yes.
There is a thing. There is an economic term called the GINI, the Gini coefficient. And what that does is it measures fairness in world economies.
Okay.
So, think of how the wealth distribution, how much of a curve and how fair is it for the people who live there. And so some, I'm sure, very normal men who are good at math, my perfect type of clients, got on there and they're studying this, they're economists, and they said, I wonder what's going on dating apps.
Okay, yeah.
They used Tinder and Hinge and Bumble, believe, and they found out that they ran the numbers. And what would your guess be? How egalitarian would you guess is the fairness? By fairness, I mean how if you lump all the guys in and lump all the girls in, do you think there would be somewhat of a bell curve?
You mean like how many people are online? Like, is it equitable?
No. How would you guess that how they view each other, meaning, the vast majority should be in that 50% range and a person should be average, they should also, there should be, it's almost like you're pairing up for something and everybody should come away theoretically, with a partner versus what it really is going on there. Does that make sense? Like how many women are getting swiped right? Like, yes, I'm voting for her. It's kind of binary, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no.
Oh, so are most people getting the seen equitably?
Is it, is it like a normal curve? Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's,
it's probably not. I mean, I would guess that it's like YouTube, right? Like, if you get more hits, then it's going to, or Instagram, right? If there's more engagement, you're going to get shown to more people. I have no idea, but I'm guessing. Or if you're more active on the app. Because I tell my clients, like, if you want to get more visible, you have to engage with the app consistently. And so it knows that you're a user. It knows, like, the more videos you watch, it knows what you like. The more guys you're like clicking on or talking to, it knows what you like. So I would say it's not equitable, and that the more you use it, the more visibility or opportunities you have. I just made that up. I have no idea.
So here's what they found. They said, this is from this article, it said, as an example, consider how the increased competition plays out in online dating platforms. On Tinder, the top 20% of men are competing for the top, or 78% of women. So the top 20%, small possession, this top 78% of almost 80%. Why? It's a matter of breadth of selection. Offline, due to the constraints of physical space and time, any given woman would have a finite set of potential partners to choose from. Online, the selection is much more vast, and most women only like the most attractive men. So the Gini coefficient for the Tinder economy is 0.58, which means it is a higher inequality than 95% of the world's national economies. So, in other words, if you are not the very top in the top 20th percentile, so if you take all the men on there and they're like, if you're not what women rate as the top 20th percentile. So if you're better than average, if you're 80%, if you're an 8 out of 10, which is pretty good, right? It's dog crap. You're doing horrible.
Okay, so here's the thing. I thank you for telling me that. That's so great. Because here's the thing. When I coach women about online dating, I tell them, you're not going to read their profile. Yeah. You're going to look at their thumbnails, and you're going to go for a guy who's 5 or above, because he's probably really shitty at taking photos. He's probably better in person. And also, women are more attracted to men by the personality characteristics than men are to women, right? So, and also because we talked about last time, most women don't reach out to men. Yeah. That's why my clients do really well, because they're reaching out, they're initiating, they're reaching out, and yes, of course, the hot guys, blah, 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 but they're also reaching out to the guys who aren't, quote unquote, the top 20%. And so they're getting dates and conversations with great guys. So yay, my approach now has data to show why it works.
It does. And so, yes, if the economy, meaning like the fairness of the Gini coefficient for women, it would be, if that is compared to world economy, it's pretty fair. It's about it's the economy of Australia or France. For men, it's about as fair as it is in South Africa, Namibia, all these countries where there's just vile corruption, and the fairness, it's just not there. So I too try to tell my guys, dude, it does, even if you are good looking, but unless you're a master at photos and unless you're a master marketer, not just good looking, but you know how to hold the right puppy at the right angle with the natural light and the surfboard and all these things, and look like you don't care, but you really do care, but you don't, had to play that really hard game. You would never gamble. You would never go to Vegas and sit at this table. It's not made for you.
It's so true. And that's also, so part of what I do when I work with clients is I make them, I really do, I'm just going to say it, I make them work. We have a stylist that comes with it. So they work with the stylist. We make sure they have the right clothes. I refer them to my photographer who works specifically on online photos. I make them get good marketing collateral, right? Like have good photos. So that's why they're setting themselves up to get the best, because you're showing your best side, you're marketing yourself well, and then you're reaching out to a wide pool. And all of this is showing, Chris, that dating, you need a strategy. You really need to know how to do it. You need to understand how the apps work. It's technology. They're tech companies. You need to understand how to, like SEO, right? And so we're working on SEO, because if you just go on my YouTube channel, I don't have like a ton of watches, right? So even though people are downloading it, but they're not watching this show very much. So, we're getting a strategy. You need a strategy. So if you're just getting the apps and being like, I don't really care if I meet someone, that's fine. You're just like swiping. You're not, you know what? Yeah, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
You need to know the data.
Yeah. And what I thought, which is crazy, because we know that in the end, women like guys, but what's wild, we are like women. The majority of women find the majority of men unattractive. That's crazy to me, but in real life, that that's not how it works. It's a much more fair economy when you're involved, and the woman can sense your essence, your bravery, your courage, your chivalry, all your musk. Who knows?
Yeah.
All those things. But it's wild that how much time, and again, I've been 100% guilty of that. How we believe technology makes things easier, and it doesn't always make it easier. But it has like a promise of that 1 in a million scratch off ticket. But we have this sense that it is unlimited, because it is unlike the a cheap casino where we keep popping in quarters. There's unlimited quarters, because I spent 4 hours a day on that damn thing, and it just very cleverly keeps cycling the same people back through over and over and over again. So it's truly addiction. Whereas if it was just like a gambling addiction, eventually I'd run out of money. But this case, you don't run out of money, but what are they taking away? Your time, and they keep you on there. And just like everybody's heard of, I don't know, somebody who's had luck doing something that is generally difficult. Everybody, we talk a lot more. We tout the people who met online, which, by the way, that includes a lot more than just just the apps. But back in the day, like Plenty of Fish, we have some friends who used to be like, it was a lot easier to make a connection. There were a lot less people. The rules, like you mentioned, it's not just presented in a split second, and it is really dumbed down, and it's gone back to this instinctual where you just have a split second and you're having to judge somebody, but you're completely missing out on their value. In this case, the value that men are. And studies have shown over and over again that in the end, attraction, looks is the seventh important thing that a woman cares about. There's so many other things that they want to choose.
That's so huge. So huge.
Yeah.
Which is why the Love is Blind thing in theory is a great idea, right? Because they are falling for people without seeing them. And now, of course, they've made all the cast are good looking. So the risk is like so small. But maybe one person's curvier than the other, but they're basically beautiful people, yes, all of them. And so, but the idea is kind of great. I mean, honestly, if you have people that are average or better than average looks, and you did put them in that situation, that would be great, because then you would like find someone who is like really your person. But the thing is, it's still not working out. So kind of need to know the whole thing. And
it's also worth noting for the gals on there who are like, you know what, screw guys, men are bad. I've been on these, apps, and I know how bad men can be. The point of that study was to show that a few men are very bad. And you know what? Shocker, just like in anything, in with distribution of power, something that people want, they're going to abuse it. So it's the few men. It's because, these top, almost 95% of them, they're all clicking on the same 5% of guys. So what do you think the dude's going to do if he knows he has another stack full of resumes after your first date? He's going to move as fast as he can, and he's not going to call you back because he's got to interview, aka hook up with, sleep with, whatever their goals are. So it's not fair to say, oh, well, all guys are bad, because it's not true. It's just a couple of guys who are pissing in the pool, but giving all men a bad name. And shocker, the guys jump on there and then they don't get picked and they get angry. It's this beautifully painful, vicious cycle.
Exactly. So be more, the bottom line is be more open-minded, have a strategy, and be consistent. Yeah. Because, and also I think the other takeaway is, just because you had an experience with a couple of guys and they weren't the greatest guys, there's like all these other really nice guys who are just trying like you are. So work your angle different to be open to finding the right guy for you, not like the hottest guy on there. And we're not saying don't be attracted to them. The thing is, allow yourself to be surprised that you actually might be attracted to someone who's really nice and they've got great banner when you talk to them on the phone or in your email or your inbox messaging. And then like you find out all these amazing things and you're like, wow, they're incredible. So just saying, I've had so many clients who are like, I don't know, I never would have imagined myself with this person, but they're like so attracted to them and they're so in love with them and they're really, really great guys. So
yeah.
Okay, we have 5 more minutes. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Marnie, that's so unfair to the world. Needs more of this. All right, this is huge then. The idea, this goes back to what of how we are swiping and how we are kicking. The idea of settling, and this deserves more than a 5 seconds, but settling for somebody. And I was, settling, I think it's a very bad connotation and it's a crappy choice of words. People say, oh, I'm settling down, I'm doing this. But I think what people misconstrue it is, so what you pointed out a second ago is, we're looking, because we have the belief that we're settling. I think all too often we think I have to get this perfect product, this perfect man, this perfect everything is going on there because then I'm settled. Whereas the truth of the matter is, and this, is that once you say, hey, I'm gonna try this out, that's when the relationship really gets going. That's when we start learning about how the person can make us a better person, and we start seeing, they help us see that we don't like looking for blenders, or we can not getting up and giving hugs, and we go, oh yeah, there's something there. That's when the true growth happens, and that's when the relationship garden that both people work on it starts growing, so to speak. And I think all too often, guys and gals, we are looking for a ready, pre-made, Michelin star meal, Uber Eats dropped off at our doorstep. It's heated and ready to go, right? Yeah.
But it doesn't taste like it was in the microwave.
Yeah. Yes. And that's bullshit. That's the, like you mentioned, I think that's what, we're so busy looking for reasons or excuses that we are that and pissed off that we are settling. So therefore I'm not going to settle. I've heard many successful badass gals and gals and guys who go, you know what, Chris, I've waited so long. I have gone so long. What's another year? I'm not settling. I went through school. I live in New York where it's extremely, lonely and hard, and I'm not going to settle. He's going to be 6'4". I'm not budging. Or she's going to do, look like this. I'm not budging. But
that's great. Good for them. Good for them. I mean, look, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You can have whatever fucking standards you want. Like if somebody really thinks, like believes in their heart and soul that a 6'4" guy or a blonde haired blah bitty blah blah blah, like literally is like everything you ever wanted.
Yeah.
Bless your, like literally, that's amazing. The thing is, you're not giving when you don't ever dance, when you don't ever try with something else, you don't really actually know what you need or what you want, because and I've been with Jeremy like now 15 years ish, a little longer. Like it's through the growing and through all of those things that you become more of who you are, and you build something with somebody, and you have shared memories, and it's like a life, right, that you're building together. And so I think that the only thing is that if you have these standards that are like X, Y, and Z that are maybe, or the list is so long that it's impossible to find one person who has 27 things, right? Then you never even know if those things are really important or they're not important, because you just told yourself that they are. I don't know. It's funny. So, God, I really don't want to talk about reality TV, but I'm watching The Golden Bachelorette, and they got this woman, Joan. Have you watched it at all?
No.
Whatever. It's fine. Again, whatever. It's cute. But they got this woman that is like a 60-year-old version of like the hot girl. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
But it's so funny because she's 60 something. So her hair, her long blonde hair, you can see the extensions. Mm-hmm, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Her great body, It's obviously plastic surgery. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the reason why and good, again, do what you need to do. But the thing is, like, I'm sure she was like a drop dead gorgeous when she was 25 or 35 or whatever it is, right? But the thing is, those things literally, like, they are going to change, right? Yeah. You are going to have to get extensions or get plastic. You're not that. So those things that they're looking for, those friends of yours or those people that you're reading about or we hear about, they're looking for all these things. It's like you're wanting something that's like a sliding scale. It's investing in something that's like that's going to depreciate a lot. So I'm just not sure. We go back to economy. I don't know if that's the best thing that you want to invest in for your long-term thing. Like, I don't know. That was a really long monologue.
No, it was great. And for the listeners, as we wrap it up, what are the things that what are your I must haves, your, non-negotiables? He or she has got to be this, or she's got to do this, or she can't do any of those things, a particular, whatever it happens to be, race, religion, physical features, height, weight, whatever it happens, kids, no kids. I think it's interesting to catch yourself. And Marnie, you mentioned a second ago how we oftentimes adopt what we think is the standard of a high, of a quality, a very desirable quality. We just adopt it because we had to pick it up from somewhere, and okay, maybe he's a real woman, a real woman gets a 6'4" guy, for example, right?
Right.
And I think what I love what you pointed out that is that there's difference between I guess it's almost like renting a car versus building one and getting the framework and building one. But the truth is, just like a car, guys, guarantee you, it all has that. It's all just oftentimes, almost all those times, those things that you, especially when you start craving and over-evaluating in estimation in your brain, it's like a new car smell. It wears off, and you don't care anymore if the dude is 6'4", if he's a dick, or if he can't ever find the blender, if he drives you nuts and makes you feel like garbage. And I think, it's so important to do what Marnie is talking about, is say, you know what? I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm gonna suspend that, because I think what oftentimes we can get clear on is, well, what is it's not the physical feature or the trait I'm chasing. It's the feeling that I'm going to get from my belief that once I have that particular person who has that stuff. And I think we get really limited by our scope and what we see in our family or community on there's only one way to get that amazing feeling. And I think that the truth of the matter is you can almost, you can suss that out in so many different ways when you're open-minded and you're curious, and you're just really honest with yourself about, well, what is it that I think, why do I care about this so much? Why is it so important that I'm 5'2" and he's got to be 6'4"? Is there really that many branches to grab stuff from?
Here's the thing. It's so funny. I interviewed on the show a woman who's like a money coach, and she helps people with money. And we were talking about, there's two beliefs that, and this applies to also dating, that more is better and there's never enough. Right. So if you go out there and you're like, there's never, there's lack, like there's no good guys. Right. Yep. And more is better. That means more money, more hair, more height, more physical, whatever. But the thing that I always find when I talk to people and I unpack this is that we believe that me is we, right? So I'm better, right? Like it's validating ourselves if our guy is hot. If he that means like you all will like me and you'll think that I'm good because I got this picture perfect ideal of what a great guy is, right? And I'm telling like everyone, right? Like in the end, and I talked to someone, they're like, yeah, no, that's not true. My guy is a reflection of me. And I'm like, no, like you think he is, right? But honestly, he's not. He's him and you're you. And you pick this person for you. And that is the lie, right? And so it's really important that you understand that if you get the hotter guy or the richer guy, yeah, people will be like, oh, she's so lucky. She got the hot rich guy.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the end, that doesn't make you more valuable, you more lovable, you more anything. That is bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your identity and your self-worth is based on more is better, then you will always be chasing more, because there's always a richer guy. There's always a guy with more hair. There's always a guy who doesn't do this. Like there is no human without flaws. So if you want 6 foot, what do you call it? The triple, the 6'4", 6
3 6s. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Like, again, go for it. But just understand that he's also going to have these human flaws. So that's why I say you get 5 non-negotiables. You can have 117 things on your wish list. I don't care. But just make sure that you're focusing on those things that are going to give you long-term value.
I love that. And it's, and it's
me is not we.
Yeah. And how crappy is it to, basically you're conditionally loving your partner. I need a guy who's got long, whatever, full head of hair, and then he loses his hair. What are you going to pay?
Yeah, no, but that's
like
just it.
Now, right?
Yeah, well, that's just it, right? Like it all fades away, it doesn't fade away, but it just looks different. Do you know what I mean? Like it's different. I don't know. It's interesting to me. What people say they want, and then when they get it, they're like, no, this isn't good enough. But also, I think that you have to be really, I'm not saying like keep someone around who doesn't respect you or doesn't listen to you or is never satisfied. Like you're never enough to them. Like they can't define what enough is. Like I want to be really clear on that. I'm just saying, like, pick wisely, be discerning, and then make sure that this person shares those same values, because if they don't, you're going to end up settling. I always say you're going to settle for the backup life, which is a life that you have with no guy, or you're going to settle for the wrong guy. So, it's just be honest with yourself.
That was about what I was going to say. That's my biggest takeaway is be absolutely honest with yourself, brutally honest with yourself. And it's okay if it's a crappy reason why you want something. Just embrace your crappy reason and say, okay, don't fool yourself. It's for something else, because a lot of, truth and transparency and maybe breakthroughs and revelations can just simply start with that being hand on heart. What is it? Why is this so? Why is this the hill I'm willing to die on? What is going on? I'm willing to be single to the day as long, and or what am I avoiding? What am I getting out of holding on to that metric, that thing? What do I get out of it as well? And that's oftentimes playing small or not playing at all is a benefit as well.
It's so true. Last thing, I had a client, literally, you live in LA, so you'll appreciate this, but when she first came to me, she's like, I'm not dating anyone in this area code. West Side only. I was like, what? Are you insane? Anyway, and she's not insane. We worked through it. She ended up meeting a guy from the area code that she didn't desire. And now they're together and they live on the coast, and they have a great life and a dog, and they started a business together, and they've been together like 5 years. So again, choose your battles.
100%.
All right. Wrap us up, as they say.
Wrap us up. Takeaway for me today is that if you're gonna gamble, if you gotta gamble, gamble responsibly. And I'm not saying completely. I think there is a small time and place for apps. Just know that nothing is free in this world, right, Marnie? Everything is take something. So even though you're not pumping quarters into the machine in some smoky Reno casino, you're spending your time, and that's all we have on this earth. And then just realize you're going to lose. It's not made for you. And if you do occasionally get something, it's probably, it's not a good ROI, and it doesn't show off our best effort, skills, qualities, right? Especially if you're a guy, it's the deck stacked up against you. What's your biggest takeaway?
My takeaway from today is that strategy is and being thoughtful, right? Whether you're thinking about like, how do I show the other person I appreciate them? Like we talked about, like, I don't care if you stand up, but like, I want to be engaged. So like, I'm going to greet my person, right? Like, how do you be intentional, whether it's on the apps, whether it's on who you're choosing, whether it's how you show up for your partner? Like, you cannot be on autopilot and expect to have a highly fulfilling love life.
I love that. And I love that you use the word strategy, by the way, because that resonates with a lot of men. And I think it reminds us, yes, that there's nothing wrong with having a strategy in your relationship, even when you're with them. No, you need your strategy. What I'm built different than you, Marnie. How do I make you feel like $1 million beautiful dollars? And so that you also are invested to be the best version of yourself, and thus, as a result, also pour back into my life. And I don't think there's anything nefarious about that. And the same thing goes with when it comes, I tell you that, having inner game and dating. No, there's always strategy in everything. So I love that you use a very male friendly word.
Well, and also I hope that my fantasy football team wins again this week.
There it is, everybody. So have some
root
strategy.
for me. MB for the win. That's the name of my team.
Just like fantasy football. You need
I want to have a sports show with you. Like, we could talk about Devontae Adams getting traded to the Jets. I mean, that's a whole other show. Okay. Ladies, I hope you are enjoying the re-emergence of the dating episodes of Life Check Yourself and having Chris on the show. We're having so much fun. I'm loving not driving. It's like amazing. And the name of the show is Life Check Yourself. And wow, we did 56 damn minutes of amazing opportunities for you to improve how you're experiencing your life so that you can have more fun, more fulfillment, more freedom, more joy, more love. So share this with a friend, listen again, make some notes, decide to do one thing different that is an action step toward the life of your dreams. And in the meantime, we'll see you next time. Don't forget, life check yourself. Bye-bye for now. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Listen, if you're feeling stuck, I want you to know you're not alone. And you don't have to settle for it. I've created a free quiz to help you pinpoint what's draining your energy and exactly how you can fix it. So head over to decodeyourdestinyquiz.com and take the 60-second quiz right now. That's decodeyourdestinyquiz.com. And if you're ready to dive deeper, you can book a free no-obligation consultation at marnibatista.com/private coaching. That's Marnie, M-A-R-N-I, Batista, B-A-T-T-I-S, as in Sam, T-A.com/private coaching, all one word. Let's take the first step to creating a life you love on your terms. I'm Marnie, and I'll see you next time.